Today we're talking about E85. This is going to go for you guys with the Caymans, the 911s, the Boxsters, and everything. So when we got this car, to recap my 2006 Porsche Cayman S, recap on it, we had the factory exhaust on it. We had the primary cats were totally clogged up and breaking down. And we put catalyst headers on it to find out later on that the rear cats were also getting stopped up. And due to the nature of these engines being a flat six, the oil separator issues, the general wear on the engine, they use oil a little bit. If you have bore scoring, it's even worse. It makes it hard to run a converter on these cars. So to detail it out, what happens when you do an open exhaust like we have mufflers, modestly loud muffler, a straight through design muffler with no converters, you end up with spacers on the oxygen sensors. You end up with the car running slightly richer than it normally would. And I'm not sure why these cars do that, but they do. So running a little too rich, people's like, oh, we don't want that. However, there is some gain to that. So right now this car smells, when you start it cold, if it puffs a little bit of smoke, it stinks like oil. It smells like a chainsaw running, essentially. It smells rich. It smells oily on cold start. So the problem we have in the shop is we started up in the shop. It's been sitting for a couple weeks, and it puffs smoke, and it's all hanging in the shop. Now, that car doesn't do that all the time, but one time's enough, right? And that seems to be a pretty common thing on flat six engines, no matter if it's new or old or what it is. So my thought process of it was, why don't we run E85? Run E85 in my the Toyota Sequoia, the Scion XB, a lot of those other cars. E85 around us is a lot cheaper. It's about $2.45 a gallon. Super unleaded is about $3.29 and on its way up, closer to $3.50 in a lot of places. A lot of you guys that live in California, you're paying $4.50 and $5 a gallon for super unleaded right now. So if you get E85 for $2.45 a gallon, that makes sense, right? So I thought, well, let me do some research on it. Let me see if anybody else is running this stuff. And you have all your guys that confuse E85 with methanol, that it eats your fuel pump, eats all the fuel lines. That's not true. Maybe if you're driving a Kia, it might eat those fuel lines. But we run all our Toyota stuff for hundreds of thousands of miles on E85 with no fuel pump change, no issue at all. If it gets cold outside, you get a little bit of a rough cold start. It might throw a check engine light because of that rough cold start. But that's not as common, especially if you have the car inside of a shop. And so my thoughts were, let's mix in a half a tank E85 to start with. So we did that. We had zero problems, none at all. And 2 days ago, we filled up. We ran it down about a quarter, filled it up again, full E85. So we're pretty much on 100% E85 at this point. This is pump E85, so it's not out of a barrel. It's not exact. The car runs, drives, and starts perfectly, has a tremendous amount more power, and no stink coming out of it. So we kind of killed two birds with one stone. Is it more friendly to the environment running E85, straight E85? I don't know. I don't know what the research is on that. It's more friendly to your pocketbook, that's for damn sure. So as far as the EPA is concerned, if a guy runs straight E85 with no converter, what is that compared to carbon emissions compared to super unleaded with a damaged converter or a well-aged converter? I don't know. So that's something to it. So we're running the Porsche on full 85. Can you go run yours on full 85? Probably. Do you have to not have converters? No, probably not. It probably runs safe rich from the factory enough to where it'll consume that. It's been on that for a couple weeks now with zero problem. If we ever have a fuel pump failure, we'll just replace it. It's not a big deal. It's not very expensive. Will it have a failure? No. Bosch pumps are not known to fail from E85 at all. Now, if you let it sit for 2 years with it in there, could it gum it up? Maybe. Could regular gas gum it up? Yes, it will gum it up after a couple years. And so you have to look at it like that. So what we're looking at now is The cars we don't have an E85 right now is the M5. We're probably not going to put that on it. The G-Wagon, they make E85 tunes for that. That thing uses fuel at a rate that is scary. But instead of paying $3.59, $3.69 a gallon for super unleaded for the G-Wagon, if we could pay $2.45, that kind of makes sense, don't it? That comes back to the closest E85 station is 30 miles away from us. The G-Wagon uses fuel so quickly that if you come back here home with a quarter of a tank left, whether you're running 85 or super unleaded, you can't make it back to the gas station to get fuel. We have a local gas station that has only 87 octane. I don't know why a lot of gas stations in Missouri started doing that. In small towns, you see 2 pumps that both have 87 octane. You're starting to see more and more of that. Which anything with any kind of power or turbo or anything, any kind of new truck would definitely require at least 91 octane, I would think. So there is that. Should we get our own tanker of E85 here? Maybe. That's what we're looking into next. That's a pretty expensive adventure. We have to rent or buy a new tank so it's nice and clean, whatever pump situation we need, and have the truck come once a month to fill it up. Probably a couple $1,000s in getting that started. But if we could have 1,000 gallons of E85 on hand, we're pretty much self-sufficient in case the price of fuel goes up for a little while at least, or in case electric goes out for a long time. We've got fuel for everything here, and that's the situation of it. So if you have a Porsche, try some E85. I guarantee you not have any issue with it, and it's 110 octane, so you have that. Gonna be a lot more power, as it gave our little Cayman S here. Tremendous amount more power. That's gonna be it, guys. We'll see you very soon. Thanks for watching. See you later.